Let me share the screen. Can you able to see my screen?
Yeah,
Yes,
we are
yes,
back for
yes.
another
We are
40
able to
minutes.
see.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes. Let me quickly cover up this one. I think we was disconnected from here, right?
Yes, correct. We talked about a
Yeah.
verified gross mass.
Yes, yes, yes. So, sorry for the inconvenience, and then we reconnected. Thank you, Paula sir. And here, this is what the comparison between 2020 and 2010. See, basically, 10 years, there is no opportunity, or there was a lot of difficult challenge moment has happened to review this Incoterms. Basically, that is what because all the countries to be together for this to happen, that is one of the biggest challenge, because bringing all team, bringing in a single opinion or particular acceptance on the opinion, which is very challenging and very difficult. So that's where it was prolonged up to 2020. In between, there was a couple of meeting has happened, but it was not successful to publishing the terms globally. And then later, that somehow all the things has to be considered. That parameter they released in 2020. In that, the major change has happened. I would say 6 to 10 point, but the top 4 point we to be considered as a exporters or the importers, to consider that this time they have introduced TPU, delivered at the place unloaded. Normally, when they hand over the cargo, that was earlier it was a TAP terms. So what will happen? Yeah, TAP terms. What will happen? Delivery at place, that was deliver the goods at the particular place, obligated mutually buyer and seller. Later, it was not unloaded or it was not considered, and it was not handled properly by the buyer, and it lead for the damages. That was many case was filed in the international court, and then it was like considered most of time the international court what they have getting number of cases filed related to this dispute. So that was considered as a primary voice of customer. From there, the Incoterms team will reform or arrange or change in the existing terms. Accordingly, so the delivery at the place and unloaded, that is considered very importantly, particular in the large volumetric of material, bulk volume material like 3,000 tons, 50,000 tons, and those kind of, it may be food material and the mining material, or I would say chemical material, considering all those volumetric cargoes that has given. So it was replaced by the deliver at a terminal to deliver at unloaded, place unloaded. This is what the very important changes. This will be very much helpful, kind of for large volume handling. Even we are handling vitamins. So sometimes we will go with the drums, sometimes we will go with the different packages. So that will be really helpful for the buyers, particularly. It is a challenge for the exporters or those who are agree for the as a seller. So that may be challenge, but at the same time, so these are all the terms very mutual for each buyer and seller. So second important point is change in the insurance cover. Normally, what will happen? The domestic transport between the exporter warehouse to the seaport, many of the road accident or any the collateral has happened. So that was not covered under uh, uh, the insurance package. Now the carriage and insurance to be paid. It is a obligation that buyer can do the seller supplies. So that case, the buyer, seller, minimum cover to be done for the local transportation. Minimum cover, maybe overall blanket insurance should have, or some kind of government insurance covered by the local country norms. But however, that local transportation shall be covered with the insurance, which will be safe for both the business parties. So third important parameter is simplification and then the clarification of the roles. Sometimes, as I mentioned, many of the case we would not be clear what was the incoterms. Many of the people think that if it is a CAFR, say CFR terms, which will cover completely, so will it be safe? Will it be good or covered all the risk parameter? Likely in 2010, in Incoterms, it was not covered. Now it has been made very simple, easy to understand, and it will cover all the parameters. That's what the key third important change has made. And the fourth one is earlier there won't be any digital documentations. If we are doing, particularly when we talk about the switch PLs, so they know the difficult because switch PL would be two, three legs would be connected when particularly trading people do. If it is a manufacturer, they will export to the buyers directly, or sometimes they maybe go to the traders, and then traders will supply to different buyers and the required people. So when we go multiple handle of traders, so the digital document would be very much helpful because earlier the paper should move on one place to another place. Goods will move fastly than the papers because the papers will have to approve the customs bankers and the agents and the proper scrutinizing people. When we compare that papers reaching the right person before the material reach, sometimes it become a challenge, and sometimes it will be a difficult part. So now the digitalization and electronic communications, the e-communication has been accepted. So when you surrender a BL from Vietnam or India, the same surrender PL from Dubai or US, UK, wherever the party is being, and they can get it and they can regenerate the under document by electronically and then given to the end customers to clear the goods very timely. So this will avoid a lot of damages and cargo waiting in the port and then the congestion in the port. A lot of things will be helpful. That was the fourth important and very key point in this Incoterms. So according to these Incoterms, if any buyers able to or disagree to accept the digital papers, that you can denote that yes, it is according to Incoterms 2020 that we can go and we can accept these electronic documents. That will be much easier. But at the same times, there will be elimination of underbilling. There will be elimination of undercover billings. So this will be the other beneficial out of the fourth point. Few cases, let's say any country will have the import duty. Those country and the buyer, what they will do, they will get another copy of the invoice with undervalue, and then they will project it as original value of the goods, and then they will pay only for those value import duty or export duty. To eradicate that option, so the digital and electronics communication has happened. So whenever you submit the actual invoice for the customs review, that the same invoice should be matched with the buyer producing invoice and the clearing port to get calculated for the import duties or any duty and government levies. So this will be one of the challenge point for those who are doing underbilling, but this will be genuine to the trade has happened. For that trade, definitely actual value will be covered, and then the trade data will be accurate, and the information is very much valid for the future. So, any question out of these slides? Shall I move to the next slides? Any questions? Okay, I'm moving on the next slide. I think this is very important slide, I would say. So this is where I have shared the input terms clearly, and everybody can see my screen completely.
Yes, Siva, I am able to see.
Thank you. So this is the color code, mainly the color code where they used. This will be, it is not the standard one, any color you can change it, but this is a recreation by the Incoterms team. And then the people for their better understanding, better clarity, and the teamwork for their brands, they are changing the colors. But however, the colors can change, but the terms cannot be changed. And the location the marks has given, that is the borders of or limitation or the boundary that when the scope changing it. Let's say seller warehouse and the local transportations, and then the terminal, and then the logistics portion, which means sea or air sometimes, and then the other terminal, clearing terminal in the opposite country or importing country, and then the local transportation, and then the buyer warehouse. This is how the border has given, and these borders uh, generally derived. It may be differs in the actual cases. So all the 11 terms defined based on the needs and the product and country possibility. Few country you cannot enter. Let's say if it is Iran, so most of the case the material would not be a trade between the other countries since they are seasoning. So by the I would say Americans are in general international trade, but still they have potential to do some trade. So what the people will do, they are bringing the goods to Jablali or the Dubai market and then reselling on the name of Dubai. So same way, if it is something from Russia and then it is being rerouted through Turkey. So this is how the business happen across the world, even though there is a economical sanctionation or the control or limitation to the country, still they have a potential to trade globally. So that will help each other. Those case, these Incoterms will be, they will be used in different parameters. But the Incoterms applicable as such, but the trade people mutually agrees that, let's say, Iran cargo is being supplied from Jablali, the global is accepting it. Yeah, Russia cargo supplying from Turkey, the global is accepting. However, they want the goods, they want a better pricing, they want the safest and good quality material from that economical controlled country. But still, the other country or the supporters, they have a good influence globally. So that's where they are supporting the country and then they are get benefited. So in that way, the Incoterms a little bit differ and they will be very familiar, those who are working with the sanction country. So any questions on these slides? And this will have a one page slide and this picture already there in the WhatsApp group for everyone. If again needed, I will ask Mr. Balasa to share in the group again so that you can use it wisely and you can learn and you can refer whenever you want it. Furthermore, if you have any doubt and you can send me a email or WhatsApp. I have a handbook, a complete handbook for this Incoterms. I'll share you. It's a free of cost to learn everyone. It is not cost anything. You can request me. I can send you because that is almost 40-50 pages book. So like I can share you, and this will be valid until 2020 exist in the global trade. So when we go the overall terms, so sometimes it may be confused or maybe not clarity. And that way, I'm going to explaining you each terms quickly. And due to time constraint, and it is being Sunday, most of the people has not joined, even those who are wanted to know about it. But still, due to time constraint or the weekly of considering in Dubai, next 10 days is a holiday. Most of the people even yet to awake actually. So fantastic that those who are having a courage or thought process to learn something, those are 15 20 people, those who are trying to join here, but the other people also trying to know, but it was very situation barrier, so they were not able to join. So considering these factors, I'm going to run through quickly the Incoterms which we listed here, and all of them shortly I will explain you one by one. So this is ex-works. Basically, this ex-works means when the material or disposal of material to the buyer at the particular name. So let's say X warehouse. Let's say the X warehouse for Coimbatore or X works and uh, Trichy, or you would say Ho Chi Minh or Hanoi or Dubai. You can say any port or any location name or any place name that should be Any Incoterms, not only this, any Incoterms, along with the Incoterms, the place to be mentioned or inserted the name of the place. It is must. Then only Incoterms along with the locations, along with the place. That will be very important and basic things to know each other. Okay. So when we go with the XWorks, it talks about three parameters that we discussed. One is obligations and the risk, and then the cost. So when we go with that, that all the three colors, it's talk about the green color is the cost, and the yellow color is the risk, and the orange color is the insurance. And when you talk about the brown colors, that all happen around the local transportation, or you would say land covered, or sometimes sea plus land cover. And the blue color, I'm talking about the sea in quote terms. This is how it is classified by color codes. So accordingly, when you come here, this you can see what is the scope of the seller and what is the scope of the gray color as the buyer. So seller cost in so the obligations and the risk will be covered up to his factory. Out of his factory, it will not cover. So rest assured by the buyer, maybe sometimes again it can be obligated to the seller to do or organized buyer own. Any questions on the experts? Let me move on the next slide. So this is free carriage. Some of times when we wanted, because when we handle with the other country, we may not familiar with the local transportations and the rules and regulations. Let's say in India, when you do the invoice, you should have a e-way bill to move the one place to another place to move the material. So when we wanted a e-invoice or e-way bill, that will be very difficult to generate by the buyer. So those cases, the buyer would request to give a free carriage up to the terminal or port locations with the insurance, or sometimes without insurance at their own risk. Sometimes it can be simple obligations, but you would say two different category. The first point is maybe a seller premises or the particular location. Second one is that transportation organized by the buyer, but still the coordination to be done by the seller. These two are called FCA. Sometimes this is called FOR, free on road. So that is also, it is say that, but FOR is not very common, or it is not authorized by the Incoterms 2020. Any question on FCA? Okay, I'm moving on the next slide. So this is there are two Incoterms combined for better understanding what is difference between at the same times why it is. So this is CPT as well as the CIP. CPT is just as I mentioned, the in the seller will have the cost up to the I mean the risk cover, the insurance and the obligations will be covered until this buyer terminal. At the same times, the scope or the sometimes insurance may not be the that is called CPT with insurance CIP. So, and as I mentioned, every Incoterm should insert a name or place or destination should be mentioned. Otherwise, it will not be considered as a Incoterms. You cannot say CPT, there is no meaning. The CIP, there is no meaning. But CIP, you would say Shanghai or Honai or Port Kelang or Singapore or Jabalali or Mundra port, that you should add CIP Mundra or CIP Jabalali, CIP Shanghai. That's what the meaningful Incoterms. Any question on CPT and CIP?
Shiva, this CPT is it same as like CAF or CFR previously?
No, no, sir. CA for also we have. That's what I'm
Okay,
going to tell you. What is the
okay, okay.
difference between this is what we have to clearly understand the cost
Yes.
and obligations and the risk. So when you go with that CIP, CPT, and the CAF, little bit difference and the scope of the supplier and the seller. I mean buyer.
Thank you, Shiva, because until now we are using Incoterms 2010 and I'm familiar with the CAF and CFR and FOB.
No,
Please,
that is very,
please,
very
yeah.
Yeah, that is very commonly used. So when we come to new traders, they will not know what is CF scope. They know only that considering the cost factors. Most of the times it will happen. But when you go in detail, when you go deep dive into this, definitely it is a different. Each Incoterms have its own advantage and disadvantage. See, Incoterms and the pain and the importance only knows those who are burned their fingers, honestly speaking. So the value of the life, they know when they are try to get a rebirth. Those people only knows the moment and the when you are going to lose your life. By the time you will realize what is the importance of the life. So until then, you will take any risk. Same like those who are burnt their finger in the trade, those only know about the importance of the trade or importance of the Incoterms. Until then, we will take it very lightly. Once we lost, then we will understand where we have to be very clear. But when you are very clear with these Incoterms, you can do any trade globally and assure you the best support or the best, safest business trade for you. If you don't have any idea about Incoterms, I'm sure that you will learn when you're burned your fingers. No doubt about it.
Shiva Kumar here.
Yeah,
So the same question what Bala asked you, same thing. CF, we are familiar, that is cost insurance freight. Now,
Right.
a new contract is you are taking it now. Suppose we need to ensure that we have to follow 2010 or 2020.
It's
Suppose,
2010 is absolute, sir, now.
okay. So if I say CF, it is not valid.
We have CAF. That's what I mean. We have CAF still. So it was not the same as the CIP and CAF. It's a different.
Hmm. Yeah. So suppose now I want to protect it. See, my accounts team or the people who are known to our customers are familiar
Mhm.
with earlier terms only, and they don't know this. And if they put it in this thing, where we need to put change it, or we need to change in our offer or a purchase order, or we need to ensure that only order acceptance we have to specify that.
See, basically, this is the CAF or a CIP or whatever the Incoterms you are trying to put it. This should be familiar to your customer. Basically, this is key important parameters. If you are known completely about the business and the trade and the Incoterms, if your buyer is not aware, you will not be able to convince what is the Incoterms suitable for you and why it
How
is.
it will bind him if the customer or if the buyer is not aware of
So
this.
most of the business people, honestly speaking, most of the business people are doing the trade without knowing the Incoterms, honestly speaking. And like
Exactly.
that's where we are creating the awareness, and Bala sir has created this among our business group. But when we know each other, if you talk about any the 9, 10 people or 10, 15 people from this group, later if you're talking about Incoterms, definitely they will aware and what is a CAP and what is a CAF, and then they will be mutually okay for your terms or change of terms. But if you are working with the unknown people about the Incoterms, that will be very challenging. But when you work with the corporates, definitely it will work.
Yeah.
Whatever the convenient terms mutually for the corporate, yes, 100% it will work, no doubt.
One small thing. Suppose if I am putting condition which is agreed with the customer at the time of offer and order also, later
Mhm.
he claims that and where I can go for proving that my commitment is over and it is as per the Incoterms, and he need to take care of the insurance, he need to take care of the local transport that was not agreed by me, and for which I cannot be held responsible. Where I can go and argue or how we can protect that interest.
Yes, I think you were previously worked with L&T. Like if you say
Yeah,
any L&T purchase order,
yeah,
turn back, there will be thousands of terms and
yeah,
conditions with the very small letters. You can have a magnification class to read them. So
yeah,
that will be imprinted. That is very important, and we will take it lightly to keep
yeah.
the empty pages they have printed. No, honestly, no. it has been covered all their risk and parameters, honestly
Yeah.
speaking. That's where the company growing thousands and thousands of crores. So when you do very clear in terms, and even if you want to grow your brand, you should know what is your borders and the limitations.
Yeah.
Without that, you will not able to do any branding. That will be very challenge, and you will lose your brand,
Yeah.
honestly telling you. That case, you have to mention from the first document of yours when you are submitting your offers, along with the specification, along with all the terms and conditions. Maybe the buyer little bit fear about it, but those who are confident, when you do the business with the confident people, or knowing people, are educated about the Incoterms and the terms and condition and the importance of the secure business trade, for sure they will be accept and mutually they will go about it. They will not fear about your list of terms and condition. They will go and read it one by one, and they will go very respectfully and easy to convince them. But if you are failed to mention those terms and conditions, or if they are failed to read that terms and condition, it may end up with fatal. But you have to make sure that before, when the next document comes from your customer or the buyer, you should ask them by written, have you read all the terms and conditions? It's mutually agreed. Or you would submit your pro forma invoice after your purchase order with your seals and signature, and you also submit your purchase order along with the seals and signature. And then buyer again, they have to acknowledge the pro forma invoice with all your terms and condition above the purchase order, and they have to sign and seal the pro forma invoice. That would be very safe for you. And also, if you have a trade agreement between you and them, that you have to read it well. And there are two languages are there. One is general English, and the one is the business or diplomatic English. So that diplomatic English, all the standard agreements and the draft has been made. Accordingly, you have to prepare with the proper and the standard falling into the international the trade policy, as well as country trade policy, or I would say law, that
Oh,
you have
thank you,
to
Siva.
follow it.
Thank
Yeah,
you, Siva. Very good explanation, and it is very good, and it is a must for all business people. I wish
right.
all people learn from whatever Siva is saying is perfect, and we need to know about this. And only one last question, Siva. Like, if we now we are likely to import a lot of things from China. So I am putting the Incoterms and all. In case of any dispute, where we can lodge a complaint, where we can sort it out.
I'm going. So if you listen this session fully, that you will come to know easily. And yes,
Mr.
that
Shiva,
is where we are here.
yeah,
Huh.
Mr. Shiva,
Okay.
we are having a wonderful presentation. I think we have to allow you to complete your presentation. After that, we'll tell. We say, please follow the FIDIC and follow the contract one
Sometimes,
to one.
sir. Yeah,
Go ahead.
yeah. Sometimes the questions will rise. Maybe that would be right time to find out, and everybody will be awake. Some questions and the sessions. Otherwise, they will do on the phone calls and the messages. It will happen
Shiva,
simultaneously.
Shiva, I'm open and we allow the people to ask the questions then and there. Otherwise,
Yeah,
it will become
yeah.
like radio or television. We are interacting.
Yes, exactly.
We allow all
Yeah, yeah.
questions and we are diplomatic and we are democratic. Please go ahead. You are giving wonderful presentation.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thank you, sir. Okay. So again, the coming back to TAP and the TPU, this is what we discussed. It is one of the key changes has made in 2020. Earlier, it was delivered at the place, but it was not unloaded on the scope of seller. But now it's been unloaded at the scope of seller. So when it is like in the risk and the obligations and the cost will be the same between DAP and TPU, then what is the meaning of a TPU is transfer, and what is the meaning it is going to be. But please understand, from 2010 to 20, TAP also is there and TPU also is there. It does not that TPU replaced TAP. No, it is very clear both are available here. So still that is obligated by the buyer, that seller, to unload the cargo, because they are the master in the material handling. Or many of the time the buyer can be a consumer directly, let's say mining industry, and let's say the bitumen cargoes, let's say cottons, let's say these are the material that exporters or the company can be or shall be very systematic or proper way to unload the cargo rather than buyer or consumer may not be able to handle those. So when we go that parameter, it is unloaded at the place is very important and it will play a vital role and it will safeguard the goods. So buyer also get delighted and then the further business assured there. So this is what main thing. But when we go in the previous Incoterms, it was not covered. So many of the cases, the seller was did that, but the buyer was not recognized because it was not covered in the Incoterms. Now it has been added into that. So whatever seller has done the job, it will be recognized or authorized as a one of the Incoterms. This is how they have added this. This is very much helpful for the seller as well and buyer as well. So and also little bit differ DDP, it is a duty also paid. If it is duty also paid, then it is a TTP and that Incoterms also available. Because due to the space constraint, I'm not share the screenshot shot of it. But DTP also covered in it. If you go the main slide, definitely it would be there. Any question on
Shiva,
this slide?
sorry to interrupt you. We are running the second 40 minutes. Already we finished 38 minutes. Can you imagine? So nicely the
Yeah,
meeting
yeah,
is
yeah,
going
yeah.
on. Maybe
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
I may have
That's
to make one more session to come back.
No, no, I'll finish in within 2 seconds. 2 seconds. So
Go
this is
ahead.
FOB and FAS. This is when you give the goods on the side of the ship, that is called FAS, and FOB that you have to board on the ship. Then only it will be cover cost, insurance, and the risk and obligations. So I think if you have any questions, definitely the one-on-one sessions will be helpful. And CFR, CAF, this is the important parameter where you asked. Yes, it is. Still, it is available. CIP and CPT and the CFR and CAF, all the four were available. But you have to see the blue line, red line, or the yellow line. So you will be able to understand what is the risk, cost, and obligation is covered in it. So CAF still available, but if you compare CIP and the CIPF, what is the difference? Then you will be understand the color difference and the markings. So definitely CAF also available, CFR also available, but most commonly used in Incoterms is CAF. Now you see that what is the scope of the insurance, the cost and the obligations or the risk. Okay. So and this is what the best like I have given the best choice. So the best choice is it depends upon the safety and then the more suitable incoterms to the specific trade or the country or the product commodity or what the level you are ready to bear your risk level considering all the parameters. But as I mentioned, is all to be very clearly documented and essential to ensure the both the parties. It is not writing in the document, ensuring that both the parties understand their rights and responsibility and liability under the chosen incomes. Without knowing that, it won't work. So summary, yes, that when we analyze this, it has very quickly, very lightweighted, small changes, and it is easy to understand each and every exporters and importers. So that's it. I done my sessions within the time limit. So if you have any questions, yes, I'm here to ask. And if we lost the session, yes, you can connect me on the phone numbers and the WhatsApps, emails, whatever it is.
Shiva, you have given a wonderful presentation to us. I'm sorry I don't have the paid Zoom. We used the free Zoom, 40 minutes consumed.
No,
We
sir.
came to 40-minute Zoom. Next meeting I will do in Google Meet. Google Meet, no
Right,
money, no time limit. I'm sorry. Zoom is so convenient and easy to operate. If it is MS
right,
Team or Google Meet, they are not so friendly like
right.
Zoom Meet. Maybe if someone asks
Yeah.
some question, it's okay. Because if you want to open another Zoom meeting session means we need to go for another 40 minutes. I do not know
Yeah.
how long you are a businessman and you are busy. For me, Sunday, no
Honestly
problem.
unable, sir. Yeah, honestly unable. But at the same time, sir, yes, I'm here for any support anytime that I can do level best. And of course, this has presented on request of Bala sir, and it is not for any difficult or challenges, and it is given free of cost. And